It's tempting to forego a review of the new documentary on the Pope in favor of a litany of the film's laudable quotations from this remarkable man.
His words are plain and direct, full of wisdom and not a little humor. Pope Francis, a man of his words, won't convert any of Francis' die-hard opponents, who will deride the movie as uncritical, but it will offer consolation to many viewers, and challenges to most. The documentary reports that its subject, the former Archbishop of Buenos Aires, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, achieved many firsts when elected Pope in 2013. He was the first Pope from the Americas and from the Southern Hemisphere, the first Jesuit Pope, and the first to take his papal name from Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Francis, the film points out, was a revolutionary of sorts, embracing poverty, finding holiness in nature and generally taking the gospel seriously. For his part, Pope Francis has rejected some of the privileges of the papacy, spoken frequently of the importance of being good stewards of the earth, urged all who would listen to become a bit poorer, and expressed his desire to see a poor church for the poor.
Such sentiments have earned the ire of political and religious conservatives, who contend that France's stands on income inequality and the environment are reminiscent of socialism. The Pope has repeatedly made strong statements on behalf of immigrants and refugees. He carries these messages and travels worldwide, to religious audiences, including Jews and Muslims, and non-religious bodies, such as the United Nations and a joint session of the U.S. Congress.
Jesus tells us in the Gospels, Francis says, that no one can serve two masters, and that we can either serve God or serve money.
And Francis doesn't spare his own church from criticism. Addressing the Roman Curia, a key body of church governance, he pointedly names an assortment maladies that church officials might be prone to, maladies that divide the church from those it's supposed to serve.
He urges the clergy, and all who might listen, to avoid a proselytizing attitude, and says priests should talk little, and listen a lot, and look directly into the eyes of those with whom they are speaking.
Such matters haven't always been among papal concerns.
Pope Francis, a man of his word. Directed by Wim Wenders.
It's somewhat surprising that the film was directed by Wim Wenders, who came to the cinematic forefront in the 1970s as a part of the new German cinema movement, which included Werner Herzog and R.W. Fassbinder.
Wenders' long career, including Kings of the Road, 1976, Wings of Desire, 1987, and Buena Vista Social Club, 1999, wouldn't necessarily indicate an interest in the papacy.
The director is clearly an admirer of Francis, both the saint and the Pope, and was able to conduct extensive and exclusive interviews with the pontiff. Wenders' one misstep is using wordless, black and white footage he shot recreating important episodes from St. Francis' life, seemed suggestive of melodramatic early silent movies.
The footage has unfortunate, and probably unintended, overtones of religious kitsch.
Early in the film, Francis tells a young visitor to the Vatican that he didn't seek to become pope, poking a bit of fun at anyone who might want the job.
But after listening to the pontiff, and watching him visit refugee camps, wash the feet of prisoners and engage in many other humane and exemplary actions, we can't help agreeing with the assessment of an aged nun, an old acquaintance of his from Argentina. His life is a sermon.